He has personally brought together hundreds of hours of interviews with all the people involved in the making of that record. He's also been given access to material from 2 journalists and archivists associated with the Prince sound, Alan Freed and Per Nilsson. And maybe more amazingly, he's gotten hold of the daily studio work orders from studios so that he can piece together the massive puzzle of how the record came together. I don't want to ruin any surprises. You should marvel at all the things it's not. That's a strange thing to say, but I want to say it again. Think of all the things this book is not. There are wonderful books about Prince that are preoccupied with his cultural significance, or the meaning of his music, or the way he changed sexuality for our generation, or any of the other things I mentioned in the first paragraph. I have taught some of them in my class. I have written introductions for some of them. I won't mention them here. That would be churlish. But there are no other books that do this kind of deep dive into the primary source material for an album and reward that kind of diving in incredible ways. Duane has said that he hopes this is the first of many books that handle Prince's catalog in this way, that go through his recordings one by one and try to mine out of the studio logs and musician recollections a fuller picture of what's there. I hope that's true. I hope that when I am an old man with a long beard, I can look down my Prince bookshelf and see, next to the other books I've taught, next to the other books I've written intros for, Duane's whole series, paralleling Prince's entire body of work. But don't take my word for it. Take James Brown's word for it. Get up and take the book off the shelf, get into it, and get involved. Amir Questlove Thompson. Preface. The music I make a lot of the time is reflective of the life I am leading. Prince. Some musicians are forever linked with a specific recording studio. The Beatles at Abbey Road, Elvis at Sun Records, and Hendrix at New York City's record plant. Often the studio helped define and shape the musicians, exposing them to a vibe that brought out something timeless. Fleetwood Mac could have recorded Rumors anywhere, but the record plant in Sausalito, California, provided the womb-like atmosphere that helped nourish their album of self-reflection. Recording at Big Pink in upstate New York literally changed the direction of Bob Dylan's career, just as time at Los Angeles' Sunset Sound changed the career of another Minnesota son. To most people, Prince is forever bonded with Paisley Park. But before Paisley Park, the biggest albums of his career were recorded at Sunset Sound Studios. In fact, his success from those sessions gave him the financial strength necessary to build Paisley Park just outside Minneapolis, a studio patterned after elements from Sunset Sound. This is an unprecedented look into Prince's time in the recording studio at the peak of his career. These are the stories behind the songs he released and a revealing look at what he kept hidden from the world. This is his trip from cult artist to one of the biggest stars in the world, told through the music he created along the way. Tragically, with Prince's passing in April 2016, the focus on his career has shifted from the promise of what was to come to the story of what he accomplished. The objective of this book isn't simply to list what, where, and when his music was recorded during 1983 and 1984. The bigger goal is to explain why, and hopefully give his music from this era some much-needed perspective by placing it into the context of his life. Any events that take place outside of the studio help weave a larger tapestry of these 2 years, reflecting light back to his songs, because at the end of the day, the music will be what is remembered. And, like all great art, it lasts longer than the artist. The music makes the musician immortal. This book is based on the memories of those who were there with him on this journey. I've personally conducted several hundred hours of interviews with the band members, singers, and anyone else associated with these sessions, including the studio engineers who spent weeks alone with him watching his creative process. In addition to this, I've been given access to more than 75 hours of interviews conducted by Alan Freed for Per Nilsson and Uptown Magazine. I've also gathered hundreds of published quotes by practically everyone around Prince during this period.